over the past 5 years, we've seen the introduction of the new 737 MAX family, the 787 Dreamliner family, the 777X, and hopefully we'll see the new arrival of the 797 family. So we can safely say that Boeing has done a lot of contribution to the aviation market, having delivered well over 4,000 aircraft during this time frame. But the question I really want to pose to you guys is, where exactly does Boeing go from here? I mean, they've got every sector of the market covered. For example, for the ultra-long sector, they'll have the 777X, for the medium they'll have the Dreamliners, for the short market they'll have the 737 MAXes, and they'll also be covered in the regional market by the acquisition of Embraer. So essentially they have it all covered, so that makes us pose the question, where does the future of Boeing lie? Well, according to their assessments, the future will not include planes like the iconic jumbo jet or even the A380. You see, the market has changed so much since those planes have been introduced, and the two main factors have been the demand for efficiency and also the fluctuation of fuel prices. Now we all know that two engines are better economically, and they're also good for maintenance compared to four engines. So Boeing predicts that airlines will use more efficient twin-engine planes for long-range flights like their 787 Dreamliners and the 777Xs, or even the mid-market plane like the 797. Now although there are a few potential sales floating around here and there for the jumbo planes, they're not exactly for the commercial market but rather for the freighter market. So there's very little chance of reviving sales of those models. Now Boeing is even considering to stop producing the 747-8, whilst Airbus still sees a long-term market for the planes, although they haven't gained a single A380 order since the order was placed by Emirates. But as for the 777X, which is scheduled to be delivered in 2020, Boeing are hopeful that it can deliver where the 747 fell short. Now 7 airlines have placed an order for 340 of the 777Xs, but a few of these airlines are facing problems of their own, for example Etihad. Now although they haven't changed their order, but if they decide to scale back or slow down their orders, then it could hurt the production line and the return on investment that Boeing have poured into the project. The company however are still en route to make their first delivery in 2020, but there is a sense of worry because not a single order has been placed this year or even at the Farnborough Air Show. But I believe that this will slowly work in favour of Boeing as the years progress, because a lot of airlines will be wanting to replace their long-range wide bodies, and perhaps the timing of the project could have been adjusted slightly here and there, but Boeing says they're not worried about the demand for the 777X since they haven't tapped into the Chinese or the Asian market as of yet. Now China is on track to be the largest air travel market by 2030, and so far they've only purchased a few jets for the near future. But Boeing are expecting a huge development in demand once China's government finalizes their 5-year plan, which goes into effect in 2021. However, Boeing are very hopeful that their mid-range model of seating between 220 and 270 passengers and flying around 5,000 nautical miles is where their efforts will be rewarded. Now the goal with this market is to avoid hubs and connect smaller cities on routes that aren't properly matched by performance of today's aircraft. Now over the next 20 years, there's a potential market of 4,000 to 5,000 sales, and airlines could be using the 787s and the 797 on transcontinental flights to replace their aging 757 and 767 planes. Now budget carriers could also move away from single-aisle jets to the larger planes for more popular routes. The single-aisle market however, like the Airbus A320 and the 737 MAX, will still rule the market now and in the future, which will account for nearly 3/4 of the total sales. Now Boeing predicts the need for 29,000 narrow bodies through 2036, and the next most popular type will be the small wide-body aircraft, like the 787 Dreamliner, accounting for 5,000 deliveries. Now the air cargo industry is a very interesting one, because almost 35% of world trade value is carried by air. Now this market is very important to the overall growth of the industry, because over the next 15 years, as the world GDP grows and the world population demands higher value goods, the value of goods is also forecasted to arise. Now airlines operating freighters generate 90% of air cargo industry revenues, a percentage that has remained relatively constant over the time. Also, more than half of air cargo traffic is carried on freighters, with the share of cargo remaining high in markets such as Asia North America and Asia Europe, where more than 70% of total air cargo traffic is carried by air freighter planes. Now, although cargo has struggled to maintain a sustained growth since the financial crash in 2008, the industry has slowly begun growing again in mid-2013 and even growing to 4.8% in 2014. Slowly but surely, the industry has been growing. Despite the weak growth of the past decade, more than half of the cargo is still carried on freighters, and it's expected that almost 55% of cargo will be carried by freighters by the year 2040. Now, this will be very interesting to see what kind of planes Boeing will release into the market. We know that the 747 freighter sales are slowly drying up, and although the 767 is still going strong, there will be a need in the near future to replace all of these planes. The 777 freighter still has a few decades left in it yet, but one avenue that Boeing are pursuing are the freighter versions of the 777X and also the 787 Dreamliner. Now, the 777X will offer a payload increase, while the 787 will offer exceptional range. Nevertheless, over the past 5 years, only 30% of the lower hold capacity of new widebody aircraft have served primary cargo airport routes. Now, this underscores the need for freighters to serve these markets and also airports. Now, a topic which is very bizarre, which Boeing have expressed their interest in, is the possibility of planes being flown without a pilot in the next decade. Now, according to Boeing, new technology is being developed which would make remotely flying an aircraft feasible in the near future, and apparently planes without pilots could save £27 billion and reduce the price of tickets. Now, the biggest savings will come from reducing the cost of employing pilots, and it's estimated that pilots cost the industry £24 billion a year. Now, the study predicts that flights will be safer as the potential for pilot error will be removed. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this seems very worrying. Flying a plane with no one in the flight deck controlling the plane. Now, Boeing did a survey with around 8,000 people, and 54% of them said they would refuse to fly in a plane with no pilot, even if the flight costs less, and to be honest, I don't really blame them. Now, the basic technology to fly planes without pilots already exists. For example, military drones are operating remotely, and the study says that technology could be adapted to control commercial aircraft. Now, Boeing are planning to test their theory on a plane next year, and we'll have to wait and see what the results from this are. If I'm being realistic, I don't think this vision will go ahead, but that's just my opinions on that anyways. And finally, a very interesting topic that excites all of us is the topic of hypersonic travel. Now, back in June, Boeing unveiled their concept for a hypersonic plane, and it looks like something straight out of science fiction. Now, this plane could be applied to both the military or commercial sectors. The aircraft is capable of traveling at speeds of Mach 5 and beyond. Now, Mach 5 is about 5 times the speed of sound, or 3,806 miles per hour, and for comparison, the space shuttle traveled at Mach 25 when it re-entered the Earth's atmosphere. Now, according to Boeing, a Mach 5 plane will be built more affordably than a plane that goes Mach 6, 7 or 8, because it would use titanium for its structure instead of materials like composite ceramics. Now, the current option would also use a relatively simple pairing of a jet engine and a ramjet instead of less proven scramjet engines required for faster aircraft. Now, although they haven't decided on the final dimensions, it would be larger than the business jet but smaller than the 737 and seating between 20 and 100 passengers. It would cruise at 95,000 feet, which is higher than Concorde flew, and the reason for this is because those kind of altitudes maximizes the efficiency of the engines and keeps turbulence to a minimum, since air density is so much lower that far up in the air. Now, Boeing says a production aircraft with these capabilities could be ready in 20 to 30 years time, although a prototype could be ready in as soon as 5 to 10 years. Now, a lot will have to go right for the effort to succeed, and such an aircraft would need to arrive with substantial proof of reasonable cost, safety and efficiency in order to convince airlines and the military to want to actually fly it. But nevertheless, I think it'll be a great opportunity to fly at those kind of speeds. So all in all, the future seems very bright, and we could see very interesting designs from Boeing and perhaps even travel hypersonic one day. Now, in terms of Boeing launching a brand new plane after the 797, well, that remains to be seen, because I feel like they'll just keep improving current versions until airlines request something different or their industry drastically changes. So captains, if you have any opinions or thoughts or anything else, then share it with us in the comments below. I'm curious to read what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Like and subscribe for these kind of videos, and I hope to catch you captains in the next video.